The Ballpark, a place where legends are born, where pitchers throw heat and hitters drop bombs. The home of mud hens, sod poodles, chihuahuas, flying bison, and sea wolves. This is Ballpark Nation, your home for baseball from sea to shining sea. And now your hosts. He couldn't crack the starting lineup of his JV high school baseball team, and she's never met a ballpark wiener she didn't like. Here are Jim Christopher and Alyssia RIVERA.
And welcome everybody to the final episode of Ballpark Nation. I'm Jim Christopher here with you as always.
Alyssia RIVERA.
And Lish, this time, because we both heart New York, we're heading to the Bronx for some baseball. Now, obviously, New York City never sleeps, lots going on. What are some of the things you like to do in New York outside of watching baseball?
Ooh, I love New York during Christmas time because it's like a Hallmark movie come to life. So I love that. Broadway, the theater. Oh, it's so perfect.
In the Hallmark movie, I know that there's lots of ways to do Christmas in New York, but sometimes like it's the big city is that what you mean? Like,
yeah,
like the big cities are to close down at Christmas tree farm.
Okay.
Okay.
Have, like,
all right.
Tree. It's so iconic.
I actually love it too. I love New York at Christmas time. I love New York all the time. Cheesecake, pizza. But the cool thing about New York is that there are actually 5 baseball teams you can go check out. Not just the Mets or the Yankees. You can go see the Staten Island Fairy Hawks, the Brooklyn Cyclones that were featured on our show last season, and I think it's the Brooklyn Boulders. But yeah, lots of baseball to see. But we're going to go see the most iconic of baseball teams, one of the most iconic franchises in all of sports, the New York Yankees.
Ballpark Nation presents Chasing Grand Slams, our favorite ballparks from across the country and around the world.
The history, the pinstripes, the interlocking NY. There's something undeniably iconic about the New York Yankees, easily one of the most recognizable franchises in all of sports. For almost a century, the Bronx Bombers have been synonymous with the game of baseball, and for the majority of that time, they did it in the house that Ruth built, Yankee Stadium. Well, these days there's a new Yankee Stadium in town, built intentionally to resemble its predecessor, with its epic facade, Yankee in gold letters, and the echoes of baseball's past all around you. When you walk in, you're greeted with legends. The New York Yankees are the most historically important baseball team in the league, and those reminders are all over the place. Not just when you walk in, it really comes alive when you walk out to Monument Park, and you see new legends like Mariano Rivera next to legends like Yogi Berra. Every baseball team in the league has its own important and impressive history. No team in the league has a history that runs this deep, filled with championships and epic legends of the game. But New Yankee Stadium isn't just about remembering the past. It's also about creating an exciting environment for the current Yankee fans to enjoy. Modern amenities, excellent sightlines, help give birth to one of the best day in, day out game day experiences in Major League Baseball. A Yankee game can sell out on any given Thursday, and it's going to be filled with rabid baseball fans who know the game and love their team, even if they don't always love all the decisions made by the front office of that team. Being a Yankee fan doesn't come down to just putting on some pinstripes and going to the ballpark. For most of them, it's handed down from generation to generation. And so sitting with a brother and a sister who enjoyed the game while still watching with the very real memory of their father was one of the most palpable, emotional baseball experiences that I've had. But Yankee Stadium has all the fun stuff you expect too. Really good food choices, including the ability to eat and drink out of the same container. Olds will say it's not the same old Yankee Stadium, so why bother going? To that I say, the brick and the mortar might be different, but it is still haunted by that baseball past that every real fan of the game should come to appreciate. Going to Yankee Stadium really was a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and I'm excited that we got to wrap up season 2 of our show attending. you can't help but feel like you're now part of the larger story of the history of the game of baseball. But for most people, baseball isn't just about the grass, the dirt, and the game that's played. It's about the people that you celebrate that game with. And so for me, getting to meet so many Yankee fans that I've known at a distance for so long really made this trip one of my favorites that we've taken in the history of this show.
Well, what are you asking me for?
I'm not asking you, I'm telling you. Who is on first?
I'm asking you who's on first.
That's the man's name.
That's whose name?
Yes.
Well, go ahead and tell me.
Who?
The guy on first.
Who?
The first baseman.
Who is on first?
Have you got a first baseman on first?
Certainly.
Then who's playing first?
Absolutely.
Ballpark Nation presents Who's on First? We talk to the people behind the greatest game ever invented.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Ballpark Nation. Now, if you've been watching this show all season, you know that normally this is where we bring in a member of the front office from one of the minor league teams we've covered. But this episode, we're talking Yankee baseball, and rather than bring in a member of the Yankees front office, I wanted to bring in three of my favorite Yankee fans on the planet, all of whom are content creators in their own right. Now, first up, we're going to bring in Chris Vitali. He is the mind behind Ball 9, which is a baseball podcast network of which one of our shows is a part. We got to meet him in 2019 when he was first getting started, and it's so exciting to see what he is doing to help support independent baseball media. We're also very excited to bring on Emily Nyman, who, of all my favorite Yankee fans, might be the favoritist and the Yankeeist. You definitely have to follow her through the baseball season. All of her takes are amazing. And every now and again, she'll have an episode of her Break Balls pod, which I think is one of my favorite podcasts out there. And last but certainly not least, we're excited to bring on Mike Nelson, who is the host of Fantasy Baseball Now. I've always thought that if you're going to play fantasy baseball, you have to have a little bit of a sociopath in you. So we're going to find out in this interview if that is in fact correct. All right, guys, like I said, we're doing things a little bit differently. You're talking about the New York Yankees. You're talking about one of those franchises. And it would be very easy to tell the story in broad strokes. I could give you as much detail as I could give the Cowboys or the Lakers or the Dodgers. But what I wanted to do was actually bring on three content creators that also love this team like everybody loves their neighborhood team. They just happen to love one of the three most iconic franchises in all sports. And so we've got Emily Nyman on the show. And if you've watched anything of mine, she's been periodically on it. I say follow her for all the things. We'll have her Twitter down here. Follow her for Yankee takes, Lego takes, and her cat. And I'm not a cat person, but the cat's awesome. Emily.
She is. I'm not gonna lie. She's amazing.
And then I've known all of these people on this podcast forever, but the first one I actually met in person was Chris Vitali. We met at the winter meetings, Chris, because we were super important.
I know. Yeah. At the minor league winter meeting. So, it makes
They don't need to know that, man. For all they know, we were hobnobbing with Garrett Cole.
yes, the winter meetings. It was wonderful. We were let's see what senior sharing urinals with Hadnabert and Revenant. Those were the best.
Oh, I got a story about that after we're done, but it's a whole other thing. Don't let me forget urinal. But he could go to Ball 9, go pick out Ball 9. He's done what nobody's done, and it was so smart, is he cultivated a group of content creators that we can all be there together and help building on each other. You got stuff from the Red Sox and the Yankees, and one of those shows is Fantasy Baseball Now. Mike Nelson. I don't know how you play fantasy baseball. It would drive me nuts, but welcome to the show.
Thanks. It drives me nuts too, and I've been doing it for 36 years. So
you were doing it like when it was called like rotisserie baseball, right?
I was doing it when you had to wait for the mail to see where you were in the standings. Yes, I was doing it that.
That'd be miserable. No, look, I had you guys on because I had the experience in Yankee Stadium that I think most people that love baseball have, and it's like going to church. And we just got as we're recording this, an American Pope. And although he was apparently a White Sox fan and at the ballpark when they swept the Astros in 05, so it tells me God didn't want that to happen. But anyway, but I wanted to talk to you guys because the thing that I noticed the most when I was in the ballpark is it's not like going to Wrigley Field where half that field is people that are there because it's Chicago and you go to Wrigley Field. This was Yankee Stadium, but these are 45,000 of the most diehard baseball fans I'd ever seen. And I wanted to start with Emily on this, and then we'll kind of work our way throughout the room. But how much of you love the Yankees because they're your team, but how much of the mythos and the history of that also affects you as a current fan of the Yankees?
I mean, it affects me in the best and worst ways. Oftentimes, it's the best because there is an expectation, and that can be painful. It's painful to be a fan of a team in a sense where your expectation is to make it to October. So just getting there is old news. But on the other hand, I can bet on the Yankees always trying to win and always having the will to win and having the resources to win. And that is more than a lot of fan bases can say in this league, sadly. So, I wouldn't trade it for anything. We get ribbed a lot by other fan bases, and they don't boo nobodies, as Reggie famously said. So
The Yankees are not just a baseball team. They're one of the most iconic, one of the most known franchises in all of sports. They are up there with the Cowboys and Notre Dame football. People just know the Yankees by looking at the interlocking NY. And I was curious how much of the myth of the Yankees gets in the way of being just a day-to-day fan like the three of our guests are. Does the mythology of it ever kind of annoy you because you're a fan of those guys like on a day-to-day basis?
I mean, I wouldn't say it annoys me. I mean, it can get annoying when people try to ask you who's on the Mount Rushmore of the New York Yankees, because you need to build about 4 more heads for it.
Catching me out the question list.
You just can't have,
I think it's dangerous to compare cross generations because, like, if you did plot Babe Ruth in 2025, you would have to plop him in here with all of the exercise opportunities, everything else. Yeah. And if you're going to plot Judge in 1927, you got to give him hot dogs and beer. And then you can do a real comparison. But you do get that pushback a little bit from casuals that, oh, you're just being a casual because he's the Yankee you saw most recently.
Yeah. And I just want to add really quickly, imagine if you threw Aaron Judge back in 1927 at that size, just eating hot dogs and beer. That would be kind of awesome to see.
I actually kind of want to make that happen. Like, Mike, how about you? Again, like the same question. How much of the mythology penetrates your sort of day-to-day fandom?
Well, I've been a fan since probably I can remember 68. And they were really bad. But they had been piling up World Series. It was the end of Mantl's career. They were a really bad baseball team, and the mythology was still there, and they were not a good team. And they weren't a good team until George Steinbrenner bought them. And, there's no excuses for the Yankees not to win. So, like, to Emily's point, having an expectation that it's World Series or nothing, and not just get to the World Series, win the World Series or nothing.
Yeah.
Comes with a little bit of anxiety and pain because it does stop you sometimes from enjoying the 162.
Emily, when we got to go, we went with one of my favorite people that I met on Twitter, and it was really touching to be at the game with her because she had just lost her dad, and there's still that connection. So how much of, like, you can look at a period of your life where, like, you had those 90s Yankees, but yet your dad might have had a different generation, but at the same time, there's that connection through the fact that they've been really good for the vast majority of their history. And so when people think of baseball, they think of the Yankees before they think of anything else.
There's something to be said, and I've said this before because, and this isn't meant to be any sort of slight or insult to fans of other teams, especially expansion teams. But I remember a few years ago, a Dodgers fan had made the point. It's sad because the Dodgers were out in the Northeast when the league first started, and then they moved. But a Dodgers fan made the point, like, hey, Dodger Stadium never sounds like the way Citizens Bank Park sounded at that time. And I remember thinking, well, these teams in the Northeast, they've been here in their cities and their exact spots with the same name and the same uniforms for over a century. So you had generations of families and citizens in these areas that have been rooting for the same exact laundry forever. And society has a lot of changes as things go on, but there's a lot of comfort in something like that is just so deeply woven into the cultural fabric of all of these cities that can't be beat. And no other sport in this country can really touch that. Yeah. That it really is like the great pastime. And like you said, there's so much emotion involved because when it's your family and you know that you're rooting for the same team that your great grandfather rooted for, you feel like you know them, like you have a connection with them, even if they passed way before your time. So that's just something that baseball provides that you can't really find anywhere else.
Kids today, we'll call it boring. It's not fast enough or whatever, but it really is like so interwoven, not just like it's such a core part of American history, and the Yankees very much. I mean, even Babe Ruth and a bunch of Yankees going to Japan before World War II started, which ignited a love for the sport that's still very passionate today. Like it really is. You can't isolate the two: American history, baseball history, and Yankee history. You can't really isolate those.
Not over 140 years. I mean, it's 140 years of history, right? I mean, the NFL barely made it their first 5 years. I mean, there are those that say Babe Ruth saved baseball. But to Emily's point, when you can be, when you can be a kid, and sit in your living room watching a game with your grandfather and your grandmother and your father and your mother, who are all fans of the same team, and they can talk about the history and what they saw during games, like, yeah, this guy's really good, but he's no DiMaggio. I saw DiMaggio. That just adds to the interwoven fabric of your family history in the game and the history of the game, because a lot of baseball is passed down verbally, right? And by great writers that shared great stories among baseball games and painted that picture, or a Vince Scully who could paint that picture.
Yeah.
People listening on the radio. And like, there's a romanticism that goes along with it as well, just simply because of where it fit, right? You come home from school and the game's on the radio, and then your parents tell you those stories, or your grandparents tell you those stories. And it just adds to the passion and the love for the game. It's, to me.
I was touring. We didn't go, but I was touring Fenway Park, and I'm in the team store with an Astros hat on, and I end up next to a Yankee fan. He leans over, he's like, "Talk about enemy territory." I was like, that was pretty funny. But I gotta peek out of that, because you're right. In certain cities, like you said, Emily, in that region of the country, that's football for us as a culture. Like that's yeah, that's it, right? Right, Chris? It's that passionate over 162.
I mean, you guys have SEC football. The Northeast is not notorious for college football. So I mean, so it is. It's
Go
of course. Yes, please. I'll take anything we can get there. But I mean, we need all the damn help we can get. But it's baseball. I mean, Boston, 2 New York teams. There were 2 Boston teams, and just even 3 New York teams when Brooklyn. So I mean, the Northeast grew up on baseball, and so that is enemy territory. Those rivalries go deep, and it's one thing I don't understand what MLB's doing with this rivalry week thing, where it's they're trying to make Yankees Mets the huge rivalry, and they're trying to sell that. Dude, nobody gives it seriously.
Yeah,
the Red Sox are the Yankees' rival. Let's not get it twisted here. So look, and it's nice. The fans like to go back and forth with the Mets, but the true rivalries, a lot of the best rivalries in baseball, hell, the Dodgers-Giants rivalry started in New
Cubs Cardinals.
Yeah, Cubs Cardinals. I mean, it's these old teams with a lot of history to them. And yeah, you're right. You have Texas, you have the SEC, or you've got football. Northeast, you have baseball, and it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
It cracks me up because you sound like me when all these other schools try to pretend to be the Longhorns' rival. Like, we have one, and they're in Oklahoma. A&M, you're super cute, but no, I won't agree.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I don't think we're doing that today, but thank you.
The Yankee Stadium is known for being the house that Ruth built, but that's not where they play now. Now I guess they're playing in the house that Judge is building. That's kind of neat.
But I was curious to talk to these 3 old school fans about what it was like to now go to a game in new Yankee Stadium, because it isn't the same as going from the Astrodome to Enron Field, Minute Maid Park, Daikin Park.
These name changes are getting out of hand.
For me personally, not as much, because I actually don't come from a long line of Yankee fans. So my experience at the old Yankee Stadium was minimal in comparison to my experience at the new stadium.
Sure.
So I was just thrilled to be seeing A-Rod play in person the first time I went. It was just, that was all I really cared about. It's a beautiful stadium. I mean, the city of New York spent $1 billion on it. It's gorgeous. People try to act like it's not nice, and that's just, I think, a side effect of like the anti-Yankee sentiment that anything the Yankees do is just not cool. But it's a beautiful stadium, and I'm a modernist, so like the grossness of old stadiums doesn't really appeal to me. Like I have no want to necessarily go see a game at Fenway. People say it smells like urine. Like I'm good. I don't need that. So I really love the new Yankee Stadium because it's nice and it's clean.
God, I'm
You
so
just go Battery Park and get the same effect that you want.
Exactly.
like I'm
Plenty of places in New York I can go if I want to go to.
Yeah, there's plenty of urine smelling joints.
I'm so with you, which actually impressed me so much about Wrigley because they actually do a really good job of keeping it clean and feeling as new as possible.
Yeah.
For it being an over 100-year-old ballpark. But Mike, what about you? Like, did you feel?
It's really nice, right? But in comparison to the old stadium, it feels like Times Square was dropped into Yankee Stadium.
Okay, I mean that's fair.
Right. So it's not, so I feel like it lost some nostalgia. It's still a great place to go watch a game. Every seat's better in the new Yankee Stadium than in the old Yankee Stadium. There were bad seats in the old Yankee Stadium. So every seat's better. It just feels, it's like bright and glitzy to me. And that compared to the old Yankee Stadium, like to use Chris's term, had that grit where you just, that's what it looked like, right? It was just a gritty ballpark and, we're here to play baseball. We're here to win games. And this is, I get it. They got to sell advertising. I get it. They're paying for the stadium still. I understand all that.
Yeah.
But to me, all that takes away from why I'm there. I'm not there to see a Modell's ad. Well, they don't exist anymore. So
Yeah, I was just say, don't worry about that one.
yeah, but like I just like, I'm not there to see flashing lights along the outfield wall. Like I want to see the blue wall, the wall that Ken Griffey Sr. tore when he jumped and stole a home run. Like that's what I want to see. But it doesn't take away from the experience. It's still, the experience is the experience, right? You're still like a little kid rolling into the stadium. You see the grass, you see Monument Park.
And then just the thing that impressed me the most was, I'll go back to the Wrigley Field experience, Chris. Like I happened to be there the night that Willie Mays died, so it was kind of a little extra special. The whole stadium singing the "Say Hey" song, all that stuff. But there wasn't a lot of wandering the concourse during the Yankees game. Like there were people, like everybody locked in, 45,000, whatever it was, locked in. And then after the game, and in which the Rays won the game, and then spilling out into these bars afterwards and having everybody being so angry was such a beautiful part of the experience. I mean, it was. It was.
It is. You get to share in the pain and the joy right away. That's a beautiful thing about walkable stadiums that are in the middle of cities, is that everyone's not just walking into the parking lot and getting in their car, that you all have to at least be shoulder to shoulder for at least another 40 minutes or so, even if you are just going to the parking garage.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean it's gritty, it's fun, and I guess for better or for worse, the only places to go before or after is a bar, so that can go either way. But one cool thing about to Mike's point about the old stadium being gritty, and actually what I miss about the old stadium was just how loud it was. That they can't recapture, because just the way that it was built, the upper deck was like and it kind of hung over, and you remember how close you were, like you felt like you were really that close. So that just kind of, during the playoffs, oh my God, that was just, you didn't know if the damn thing was going to collapse or if you were going to get out of there alive, which is part of the fun too. But to Emily's point, it did smell a lot like urine. So
I was going to end your question about your Mount Rushmore, but I've taken that off. Chris, we've adjusted that.
I didn't mean to sabotage the show, man. Sorry.
But I'm curious though, because some of my favorite baseball players growing up were Yankees, and it was a lot easier to appreciate them because we never played them. This was even before interleague play, and then much less my team joining the league. But watching This Week in Baseball, Don Mattingly was my guy, and I'm curious. Not that I would call him an underrated Yankee, but and I'll start Emily here. Who are some Yankees that you loved that maybe only you would know about because you followed them for 162? and not just the Aaron Judges of the world that everybody knows because we can watch. I guess we don't watch SportsCenter anymore, but whatever we watch now for clips and things.
Well, I mean, I don't know if he showed up much on the clip show, but if we're talking about underrated players, guys like Ronald Torres, Miguel Cairo, that just like stick in the back of my head. And they were just, bench guys, utility guys, like an Oswaldo Cabrera type. Like those are the guys, they seem to be like the backbone of a team because it's always them in the mix of things. They're willing to go play any position. If someone gets hurt, they're out there and they're playing hard and they're just happy to be there. Yeah. So I just am, it's those kind of guys, A-Rod, the Judges, that's easy to say, Jeter, but it's those guys that I just really love and love thinking back on.
Mike, before you get into this, one of the things I was thinking about during the 2019 World Series when we found out that Soto was 19 years old every time he went up to bat, was I think it would always be cool if you get a play-by-play guy and then you get the color person from both teams playing, because then you can get some of those stories about the 26th man guy on the roster that's maybe the pitcher who keeps going up and down, but he shows up and he throws, he gives you a spot start when you need it. So who are some of those guys, like those underrated guys for you that played for the team?
Well, for the first underrated guy, even though he was pretty well known for me, was Willie Randolph, because on those 70s teams, he did whatever needed to be done. Like that's, and then, he gets hurt. George Zeber comes in, has a huge World Series of all people, has a huge World Series. Rick Cerrone following Thurman, is a great Yankee story for me, because that pressure that came with being in that position after that tragic death. And Didi was a favorite of mine too, because he had the unenviable task of following Jeter, and Didi was really good as a Yankee. Mm-hmm. But he was never going to be Jeter. He was never going to be Jeter. But they've had so many players that have come up and flashed for 3 days, 3 weeks, 2 months over my lifetime, that it's like every time somebody brings up greatest Yankee third baseman of all time, I always go back and I'm Celerino Sanchez. Like, Yankee fans don't even know who that was. He was there in the early 70s. He was not a good baseball player. He was their third baseman. Horace Clarke was their second baseman. He wasn't a good player either. But those guys, like, that's who, as I was growing into a Yankee fan, those are the guys that were on that team. And they weren't good teams, so you had to root for somebody. Yeah. To me, the most underrated Yankee of my lifetime is Bernie Williams.
Oh, yeah.
Because every time I hear Core 4, I want to throw up in my mouth. Because if it wasn't for Bernie, they wouldn't have won anything. Mm-hmm. He doesn't get the recognition I believe that he deserves from. He gets it from baseball fans.
Totally,
he doesn't get talked about by Yankee fans because he's overshadowed by the Core 4.
Yeah, Jeter chief amongst them.
Yeah, well, to me, Jeter deserves that recognition, right? It'd be like, it would be like every second baseman since Biggio, who's like, how do you compare that?
In my mind, you don't, but
it happens all the time.
It does, yeah.
It's still happening. They're still comparing Volpe to Jeter.
Yeah.
I mean, let it go, man. Volpe's a good player. Let it go.
I would never want to play shortstop or center field for the New York Yankees.
No. It's like being a quarterback now Cowboys. Like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Tony Romo, the sixth best quarterback in that team's history.
They hated him. They hate Dak. I mean, you can't win if you're in that certain position. It's like, although Trent Grisham's doing all right to kind of put that to bed this year.
But who knew?
What about your underrated guy, though, Chris?
Being that Mike said all of them, but Willie Randolph, I was going to say Willie Randolph, but I guess, I don't know if he was really that underrated because he was technically a captain of the Yankees. But, I love the guys that came up and, the flash in the pan guys, like Shane Spencer, Shelley Duncan. These guys came up, just hit the hell out of the ball. Nick Johnson, You know, I mean, these guys just came up, they hit the hell out of the ball, they just fizzled out.
They got to get 3 months, and then you roll into spring training the next year, and it's like,
I mean, Scott Brocious was kind of an underrated guy.
Yeah.
On that 90-18, you know, he came in, just did his job. He was just like some pot smoking weirdo from Washington State, and he just played third base and, you know, quietly, awesomely. But one of the, especially in the dynasty era, one of the most underrated guys, I think, was Ramiro Mendoza. Nobody talks about Ramiro Mendoza. He just came in, just great pitcher, you know, go long, give you an inning, give you 4, do whatever the hell he needed to, and just get you to Mariano Rivera and the game's over. Nobody ever said a damn thing about Ramiro Mendoza. Give the man his due. That's my guy right there.
So again, I want to thank so much to Emily and to Mike and to Chris for being on the show. Make sure you're following them on social media. We'll have the links to all of the places you can go find them in the description of this episode.
Ballpark Nation presents Raiders of the Lost Diamond, digging up the lost treasures of baseball's past.
And welcome everybody to a special edition of Raiders of the Lost Diamond on our season finale of Ballpark Nation. And now normally we would spend this time to look at moments of baseball's past in a given area. But we're not going to do that today because today's episode centers on New York City, the city that never sleeps. And I want to give you guys some information about baseball in the future because New York is the hotbed of everything. I love New York. You might say, I heart New York. I love Broadway. I love going to shows. I love the food. But I also, yes, that's right, I also love the baseball in New York. And there's more to baseball in New York than just the Yankees or the Mets. So next year, whenever you're out doing your baseball planning and you're looking at baseball teams to go visit and you want to go hang out in New York, and maybe you've been to Citi Field and you've been to Yankee Stadium, there are over 20 teams within driving distance of the Bronx. Let me first give you the caveat that I am a Texan, which means my definition of driving distance might be just a scotch different than yours. So for the purposes of this exercise, driving distance equals about 2.5 hours. So here are 20-something teams that you can go visit next summer if you want to go visit New York and you've already seen the Yankees and the Metropolitans. You can go visit the Sussex County Miners of the Frontier League. You can go visit the Single-A Hudson Valley Renegades. You can go visit the Danbury Westerners of the New England Collegiate Baseball League. You can go visit the Shelter Island Bucks of the Hampton Collegiate Baseball League. You can go see the Sag Harbor Whalers of the Hamptons Collegiate Baseball League. Go visit the Southampton Breakers of the Hamptons Collegiate Baseball League. You also can see the West Hampton Aviators and the South Shore Clippers of, again, the Hamptons Collegiate Baseball League. For some really good indie baseball, go see the Long Island Ducks of the Atlantic League. The High A Mets affiliate, Brooklyn Cyclones, are there. You can also see the Staten Island Ferry Hawks of the Atlantic League. The New York Phenoms of the Atlantic Collegiate Baseball League, the Double-A Somerset Patriots, the Atlantic Collegiate Baseball League's Ocean Ospreys, the High A Jersey Shore Blue Claws, the MLB Draft League's Trenton Thunder, the Trenton Capitals of the East Coast Collegiate Baseball League, and the Trenton Generals of the East Coast Collegiate Baseball League. A lot of baseball in Trenton. You can see the Quakertown Blazers of the East Coast Collegiate Baseball League. You can go see the AAA Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs of the International League. You can see the Pecano Timber Rattlers of the East Coast Collegiate League. You can see the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Miners of the East Coast Collegiate League, and you can see the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders, the AAA team for the New York Yankees. So as you can see, New York has got everything. It is the city that doesn't sleep, and it's also the city that apparently doesn't stop playing baseball. And if you're a Jets and Giants fan, it's probably good because they're the city that also doesn't know how to play football, apparently. All right, Lish, that's a wrap on season
On
2.
the whole season. Thank you so much for joining us.
What's been your favorite ballpark to visit?
Oh, well, it's going to be a toss-up between the Padres and the Braves.
And I think for me, it's a toss-up between El Paso and Toledo. So a lot of great ballparks to see. Season 3, we're already planning.
Yes, we are.
Are there any ballparks you want to see in season 3? Like, what do you have on your list?
For me personally, I definitely want to go to Boston. I need to go to Fenway.
Go see the Pack.
Go see the Pack.
We will definitely put Fenway Park on next year's list. And here's a quick glance at some of the teams we're going to go visit, including Jessica's own Detroit Tigers. And coming to you in Season 3 of Ballpark Nation, we'll have the Round Rock Express, the Frisco Rough Riders, the Texas Rangers, the Boston Red Sox, the Martha's Vineyard Sharks, the South Bend Cubs, the Arizona Diamondbacks, the Louisville Bats, the Cincinnati Reds, the Lansing Lugnuts, the Detroit Tigers, Spokane Indians, Miami Marlins, Fort Wayne Tin Caps, the Baltimore Orioles, the Ontario Tower Buzzers, the Oklahoma City Comets, and the Los Angeles Dodgers. So that does wrap up the final episode of Season 2 of Ballpark Nation. Again, I'm Jim Christopher,
I'm Alyssia DeVetta.
and we're going to see you
At the
ballpark.
ballpark.
Oh, it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back. Let me root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old